Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's tutorial is going to be inspired by a comment that I got on a previous video of mine. One of my very first subscribers who is not like somebody that I know, somebody in my family or whatever. Her name is Misty T, and she asked me to do something more wearable with the Soft Glam palette by Anastasia Beverly Hills, and she asked me to not do any of the carving or anything, cut creases, nothing like that. So I wanted to do something super simple, something you can wear every single day, and something that hopefully even a beginner can achieve. I forget sometimes that not everybody knows why you do certain things, like even something like setting your under eyes. Even a couple of my friends message me and say, hey, I love your tutorials, but they're a little advanced for me. I also want to point out that I know that my shirt is red and it does not match this eye look whatsoever, but here in the state of Kentucky, all of our teachers, they are protesting for their pensions and retirement and all of that stuff, and I wanted to wear red to support them. Even though I am not a teacher, I would not be where I am today without teachers, and neither would the majority of the population. I mean, we can't have doctors and nurses and stuff without teachers. And so I just really wanted to support them and send them all of my love. Also, if you notice, my lighting going a little wonky in this tutorial, I will just tell you it's because my little baby Loki, he cannot stand to not be right next to me, so I had to put him on my desk on his little blankie, and so he keeps blocking one of my lights. He is very needy, which is fine with me because I love that, but it doesn't always work out so well when I'm trying to film a tutorial. He just got groomed the other day, so he kind of looks like a different little doggy, but he is so precious and so loving. And I would show you guys Bubba, but he is literally the best dog in the world, and he just is sleeping right now, and I don't want to bother him. But I will introduce him to you guys sometime soon. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. Misty T, I hope that this helps you. Please message me, girl, and let me know if you like this tutorial and if there's something different that you would like to see. Loki, are you ready? Loki's ready to go to sleep. So let's just go ahead and get right into the tutorial. So I've already done my brows, my foundation, and my contour off camera, and now I'm going in with my two favorite concealers to prime my eyes. The reason that I prime my eyes is to cover any redness, darkness, veins, anything like that. I always use the RCMA no color powder to set the concealer with so that it doesn't crease, and that will also help my eyeshadow to blend a lot easier later on. The first shadow I'm going to go in with is my transition shade, and it is the orange soda shade. So I'm going to put this on very lightly and build it up. I want to sweep it back and forth in my crease, and I want to add a little bit at a time. I feel like the transition shade is one of the most important. If you don't get that blended out to perfection, then the rest of your eye look is just going to kind of fall apart. So you want to make sure that you blend it and blend it and blend it until you can't blend anymore. The next shade I'm going to go in with is Dusty Rose, and I'm going to go in right where I went with the orange soda. I'm going to try to keep it like the tiniest bit lower because I do want the orange soda to poke up just a little bit, but I want this to go in my crease as well. So I'm going to bring it in almost to the inner corner of my eye, but not quite. And I'm going to blend that out. I'm also going to start blending that out just a little bit on the outer edge of my eye so that everything darker that goes over top of it will blend out better. Next, I'm going to go in with the shade Mulberry on M433 brush, and I'm just going to pack that lightly onto the outer 1/3 of my eye, and I'm going to put it on closer to my lash line, and I'm going to blend it up towards my crease, but I'm going to keep it focused on the outer part because we want this to be a very blended daytime look. Next, I'm going to go in with the shade Dusty Rose again, and I'm going to use that to blend out any harsh edges. If you go in with a dark shade and you feel like it's not blending very well, if you go in with a shade that's a little bit lighter but in the same kind of color family, it will help you to blend that and make it look a little bit softer. I felt like the mulberry shade, it was blending very well, but I just wanted to make sure that this just helped diffuse it a little bit more and works it into the rest of the eye look. Next, I'm going to go in with the shade Tempera, however you say it, and I'm just going to put that on the first 2/3 of my eye. I want that to be very open and very light so that we don't look like we have a ton of makeup on, but it's like daytime but a little smoky. That's the look we're going for, and I'm going to make sure that I just tap that right on the edges of the mulberry shade that we put in there, and then I'm going to take the M433 and I'm going to just, with no product on it, I mean just whatever's left over from before, and I'm going to blend that back in there so it's nice and seamless. Then I'm going to go back in with the shade Dusty Rose, and I'm going to blend just a little bit more. I mean, my philosophy is that you can never blend too much, and I just want to make sure that that shade still pokes out over top of the Tempera shade. Now I'm going to go in with the shade Nior, and I'm going to go with the Kylie Cosmetics angled liner brush, and I'm going to use that just to line my top lashes. I didn't want to go in with this really harsh black liner because that would just make the look a little more nighttime instead of daytime. So I wanted to keep the look soft and fresh, and using a shadow instead of a liner will help you to do that. I'm just making sure that I keep that really tight against my lash line. Next, I'm going to clean up my under eyes with some Olay cleansing cloths, and I made sure to list that down below because my friend Ashley asked me what kind I used, and I realized that I didn't list those in my videos anywhere, so I wanted to do that. Now I'm going to go in with the Tarte Shape Tape Concealer and the Urban Decay Concealer. You know that I like to set my under eyes. The reason that I do this is if you have puffy under eyes or dark circles, it's the same concept as when we did our lids. So it's going to cover any of that, and it's going to make us look more fresh, more awake, and more flawless, which is what we like to go for. And I like to take a damp beauty sponge. Anytime that I'm using a beauty sponge, it's always damp. And I am going to just press that into my under eyes. I don't like to go down too far, not onto my cheek area, because that just makes me get really dry. And I just use whatever extra is left on the sponge to get the center of my nose, my cupid's bow, and on the edges of my nose where I tend to crease a little bit. Then I like to go in with the RCMA No Color Powder, and I set that concealer so that it doesn't crease. If I crease anywhere, the worst place is underneath my eyes, and that's not a cute look. Then I'm going to go in with the shade Dusty Rose on an R41, and I'm just going to use that to smoke out our bottom lash line. And then I'm going to take Mulberry just to deepen that up a little bit. I want the bottom lash line to be a little bit smokier because the top is so light. And then I'm just going to curl my top lashes. I don't know the name of this lash curler. I actually got it in an Ipsy bag like a million years ago, so I'm not exactly sure the brand or anything like that. Then I'm going to go in with the Urban Decay Perversion Mascara, and I'm just going to run a coat over my top lashes as well. And then, as always, I'm going to apply my lashes off camera. Now I'm going to go back in with that shade Tempura, and I'm going to use that to highlight my brow bone. That way everything just kind of ties in together. I actually really liked this shade as a brow bone highlight. And then I'm also going to take it on my inner corners just a little bit to make sure that everything matches up together. Next, I'm going to go in with a Maybelline eyeliner in the shade Cashmere White. I'm going to take my Beautyblender and pull down my eyes so that I can get to it better and not have to actually touch my makeup that I've worked so hard on. And I'm going to put that in my waterline. This is going to help to brighten our eyes up a little bit more too and make it look more daytime. Next, I'm going to go in with the ABHxAMREZY Highlighter, and I'm just going to tell you that this was the first time that I used this highlighter, and you can see me even checking it out in the mirror, but I fell in love with this highlighter. The more I use it, like, the more I love it. And as I pressed it into my skin, it's a powder highlighter, but it looks wet and creamy and just so gorgeous on the skin. And I will just tell you, if you want your highlighter to look more wet instead of powdery and flaky, do not put powder underneath that. Like, if you powder your face, try to skip the areas where you would put highlighter, because it will make it look dull and it's not going to look like wet and nice and glistening the way that it would. I'm going to take that highlighter and use my finger to put it on my nose. I feel like I can get like a thinner line and it goes on so much nicer. And also do that with my Cupid's bow. I did put some on my inner corner as well just to make that pop a little bit. And then I will go back with my beauty sponge and put it on my chin a little bit. You don't have to highlight your chin. I do. Some people don't. Next, I'm going to go in with the color Contempo, and it's a ColourPop lippy stick, and ColourPop makes my favorite lipsticks ever. I mean, I just love them so much. They're so pigmented, and they are so creamy, and I feel like they really last, too. You can see that I messed up there a little bit. I just take my finger and wipe that off, and then I go back in with my beauty sponge, and I just tap on that area where I had used that concealer, and it just makes it look like it never happened. Now, I decided that I didn't like this shade with this look, so I'm taking a makeup wipe, wiping it off, taking my concealer sponge and pressing it back around my lips so that it doesn't look like I just completely messed that up. And I'm going to go back in with the shade Lumiere, and they look very similar on camera, but the undertones were different in person, and I just liked the Lumiere shade better for this particular look. Last, I'm going to set my face with some setting spray, and the reason that you set your face with setting spray is because it makes everything melt together and look cohesive, and it also makes your makeup stay on all day long. And that concludes the tutorial on this look right here, using the Soft Glam palette by Anastasia Beverly Hills and the AMREZY highlighter, which I loved. It is out of this world. I cannot even begin to tell you like how wonderful that highlighter is, and I love the palette too, but the highlighter just kind of blew me away because even though it's a powder highlighter, it goes on and looks like it's wet, which is super awesome. Please don't forget to subscribe and tap the little bell on the side so that you get notified every time I upload, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.